Hi guys, welcome to another discussant interview at the APVA Awards 2023. Well, again and again, we get to talk to people who have been very instrumental to the success of the award in discussant sessions like this one. And this time around, I'm taking that to the voiceover spectrum in the APVA Awards 2023. My name is T Code, and as you know, I'll be hosting a guest who's going to be talking about his contribution to the APVA Awards 2023. This time around, we're bringing someone who is a judge or who served as a judge for this year's award in the voiceover category. And of course, you can guess well that he is a master in the voiceover industry. I'm talking about someone who is quite very influential in the Arab world when you're talking about voiceovers. As a matter of fact, he is the controller of Gravy for the Brain in Egypt, and he's also the founder of Evolution. So I'm talking about no other person than Nadeem Khaled. Hello, Nadeem.
Hey, T Code. How are you? Thank you very much for hosting this. And I really appreciate you guys bringing me in. You're very kind. So thank you very much for all the compliments you paid me. I try. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm looking forward to helping in whatever way I can.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you, and thank you for your support towards the conference. You've been doing a lot in the industry in Africa, and it's quite commendable. So we're going to be talking about your participation as a judge in this year's award, how you were able to go through the process of selecting those who you think are preferable nominees for being the winner of the different categories. But just before we get into that, I want a bit of context to yourself. Now, I gave a very abridged version of your portfolio, but there's just a lot that Nadeem Khaled represents. So let's start with how you started, just a brief summary of your journey from putting together a group of people in Egypt, and it has evolved to becoming a company, Evolution, if I'm right, and then becoming the controller for Gravy for the Brain.
Well, I'll try to be as brief as I can. Well, the journey started with me playing basketball, which is really odd. I used to play basketball professionally, and I studied architecture in Cairo University, and I just was approached suddenly by people who wanted to produce a TV commercial for La Vache qui rit. And well, yeah, I was lucky for them to choose me to do it. That led to me going into the advertising field. I did more commercials, and then on like the fourth or fifth one, I had a director approach me, and he's like, "Oh, dude, you have a nice voice." And I was like, "Yeah, no, thank you, I appreciate that." And he's like, "Okay, so you want to do voiceover for me?" I was like, "What's voiceover?" So I was lucky. He took me to do a Vodafone commercial, and I was very lucky to be educated in my first opportunity as to what should I charge, how the industry works, and so on. I met really nice people. Not a lot of us are very lucky with that in the beginning, so that's what motivated me into thinking, okay, how can I help others when they start to find the information they want to find and find the people to help like they helped me? That made me, start working. Like, of course, I had to build up my experience first. So I think it was about 4 to 6 years that I kept doing voiceovers, just trying to improve what I do and trying to learn and so on. Was very lucky to, I don't know, like it's hard for someone to say I'm the best at what I do and not sound egoistic, but thankfully I was very lucky to be considered one of the
One of the
top
best, yeah.
one of the top voiceovers in the region, not just in Egypt, but also the Arabic
Yeah.
countries. And
Yeah.
then I started working with international clients. I even started doing English voiceover in Europe and the States. Even I was very lucky with that.
Mm.
During all that happening, I thought, okay, maybe time to share the knowledge. So I made a small initiative where we started this WhatsApp group, and we were like, okay, so you want to get access to all the big clients? Okay, here's a rate guide. Study that. I'm going to test you. I'm going to test if you did, and if you can stick to the red as much as you can. Well, here's a little clients. Enjoy. Get all the work you want. Trying to create fair competition. That worked amazing. Very lucky that Hugh Edwards from the CEO of Gravy for the Brain, he noticed what we were doing, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to the brain?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, I'd love to." it was a great opportunity to spread the knowledge across the Arabic region, but it's also for all the Arabic countries, Northern Africa and the Gulf. We started our journey 3 years ago, and thankfully we have a lot of success stories. Some of them are actually like they're words are part of the APVA Awards. Like I'm very proud, and honestly, it's just so great to see a lot of people benefiting from whatever, both on my side and on the side of Africa. Like I see people like you and Fatigue, like, you guys are just fantastic. Thank you for making us proud as Africans.
Thank you as well. We got a couple of nominations from Egypt and a few other Arab countries, and we're so delighted to have them as well on board. So yeah, it's a beautiful experience right now in Africa in the voiceover industry. All right, so let's talk about the judging experience. For voiceovers, we had different categories and different voice textures, deliveries, and stuff like that. As a judge, can you tell me the things you were looking out for? The things that stood out that would made you say, okay, this person deserves to be number one on this list of nominations or in this category. So what were the things that you were looking out for?
So the judging experience is a very tricky one because it is very, very hard for you as a person to say, so this person is better than this person. What if they're almost the same? What if somebody's just slightly better? Say better, it's not better as a human being, but rather just they performed better in that instance of a project. So it's really hard for you as a judge to position people. So when you're approaching judging, you'd be thinking, okay, I want to, regardless of who the person is, what they do, or what's happening, I'm just judging that instance of a project that's in front of me. Like there are many aspects as to how we decide if voiceover is done professionally or not. So let's say you're doing, I don't know, an English voice, and the brief says you need to have a Nigerian accent. You don't get to see that when you're judging. Like you can see that brief, which is very tricky. So you all need to assume that either the person was sticking to the brief or not. You keep that in mind, and then you focus so that that person actually Nigerian accent live on being able to speak English clearly, or is it just a Nigerian accent that they have in another market? So you need to really analyze what's in front of you and give it a grade in each of the categories that you assign as to what is a good delivery is. Based on the score you give, you give the scores to everybody, and then automatically there's an order that happens. It doesn't mean that this person is necessarily better than this person, because I don't think of competition as who's better than who. I think competition is an incentive for all of us to do our best and to just keep pushing forward and compete with ourselves. So if you got a 5 out of 5 in this experience, well, it means good on you, but keep growing. And if you got a 3 out of 5, well, it just means you need to beat the 3 out of 5, not the 5 out of 5. You need to beat the 3. You need to focus on what you can do better. So I think that's it. Like, unless I missed something, so please let me know.
that was exceptional, the way you broke it down. Because for me, I have this belief that for you to have made it to the nominations, it means that you're a winner already. It means that out of over 70,000 nominations that we got, actually, although that's a combination of the podcasting, voiceover, and the spoken word categories, you were able to stand out to be considered a nominee. So, I mean, you're right when you say that they either have to be the 3 out of 5, or, of course, they were probably sticking to the brief or something. They're just unique in their own way, right? However,
exactly,
when you're looking out for qualities, there are also other things that I would assume that the moment you hear this, the moment you observed this, you would say, oh, this person shouldn't have done this, right? So more like, work on this next time. So what are those things that you would say people, voice actors, need to work on based on your experience judging?
So the big no-nos for any judge, I would assume, is if you deliver a voiceover that is not processed properly into commercial quality, I'm not going to listen to it. If I click play and it's at, I don't know, negative 12 dB and it's not compressed properly, there's no EQ work, there's nothing, it's raw, I'm sorry, I'm not going to listen to it because it's not ready for me to compare it to someone who already did this. I'm not seeing the final product, I'm just seeing the raw material.
Yeah.
So you may be good, but you didn't go as far as making yourself look ready for the competition. So if you don't have a properly recorded with good quality, means there's as little noise as possible in your recording. You are within the healthy ranges of recording, and you've also managed to get the right EQ work and apply the right compression and do the correct kind of mixing. Like there are many schools in mixing, but there's a region where you know if this was done properly or not. If quality wise everything checks out, you're in. Let's play. But if
Mm.
you miss any of that and you were the best of the best, I'm sorry, you're out of the competition.
Mm. So audio quality is a must-have for any voiceover artist, either in this competition, rather either in this award or elsewhere. That's a good lesson. Okay, so now let's talk about the lessons you've learned. You've
Yeah.
screened through tens, probably up to hundreds of entries. And of course, you would have seen certain patterns, noticed certain things, and this would strike as, oh, this is what the terrain is like in Africa. So what are the things that you've noticed or the lessons you've learned from your experience, judging at the APVA Awards?
The lessons I've learned from judging, like just
Yeah,
so I understand.
like the things you've seen, you've observed about the African landscape, either positive or negative, but not everybody has the opportunity to listen to every of the nominees and their entries. Only a few of you who are judges have been able to listen. And these nominees are quite considered to be, some of the, in quotes, best. So what are the things that cumulatively you've said, you've been able to observe and say, okay, in Africa, we still have to work on this, or we're really doing well at this? Like, what are the things, take homes from, that experience?
Like I hope I understood the question correctly, but I'll tell you the lesson or the lessons I usually learn from judging experiences. It's when I hear to all this diversity and ways of delivery, how people, record their approach on recording these calls look like. Well, it definitely gives me a perspective that I didn't necessarily have, because maybe somebody uses this very natural way of speaking that is so far from my way. And I'm just listening to it and I'm like, oh, wow, they're really good. Okay, so what did they do there?
Mm,
So they made it sound imperfect on purpose. So
mm,
maybe that's something good. So it's actually a very educative experience for me. Your
mm.
question was in the other area of like what lessons that I learned. Can we
Yeah.
make judging better? Is that what?
Well, okay, I'm going to try to rephrase the question. So, let's say, for example, you had the opportunity to teach a class of 100, somewhere in Africa. And after teaching that class, it's a new terrain. And then you come and you give a feedback or a report that, wow, this is a very brilliant class. They're doing very well. I think they just need to improve on this, or I think that they will do,
Okay.
so yeah, haven't
So
tasted.
what would I advise people to do if they were to go into awards, like if they compete, how they can
Exactly,
win it,
something,
basically?
something like
Okay.
that.
Okay. So now I get it. So yeah, like what I would say is the goal behind anything we do is how do we deliver exceptional experiences in voiceover with exceptional quality and exceptional delivery. You're trying to be the person where a client comes to you because you know best, and you're giving them the best of the best in each of the areas of voiceover, whether it's delivery, whether it's sound quality or the technical side, I mean, even if it's the experience within the session, you know, like if you have a live session with a client, it should be a qualitative experience. It shouldn't be like, "Hi, record voiceover, yalla, yalla, let's do it." Like that's not going to work. People are not going to like spending time with you, hence they will not record with you. But if you do have an open, you know, mind, and you start to you don't necessarily have to be funny, you just have to be energetic, be yourself, show what's inside, and people will connect with you. Just make sure that it's not offensive, make sure that you're not provoking people's comfort zones, and yeah, that should work for you. So how to apply that in competitions or in award ceremonies like these? Think of it this way: the judges are the clients. They are the clients. Is that client going to come back and work with you again? Or is that client going to think, yeah, we need to pick someone better next time? So do not send an entry in an awards for awards, like to go through a competition, if you don't think it's the best of what you can do. Because that's what you're trying to get us to admit, that you are the best of the best through this piece of work that you delivered. So yeah.
Great. Thank you so much.
That's what I would.
All right. And I've got another question for you. You know, just before we started talking, you were telling me about you know, experiences outside the continent. So, you know, let's talk about the significance of the APVA Awards in Africa for voice talents. What do you think with your many years of experience within and outside the continent?
I'm not gonna lie, I've been for years jealous as to how the West just they're smart, they're fast, they're efficient. They created communities that support each other. They created a space where everybody could love each other and teach each other. And I actually wrote that recently on social media, that I think the reason they reached where they are right now is because of the conferences they do. It's because and because of the awards they do, because it brings them together closely, where they hold, you know, human to human conversations. They discuss the problems, they find solutions, and they share the knowledge. And that gets them to an area where they're very exceptional. So I was always jealous. I was like, why don't we have that? And then, well, APVA, like I was telling you, I really meant it. I think APVA are like in their second year. You corrected me. I was like, you were so good that I thought it was the third year. So in its second year, I really do think there is amazing potential there for it to be somewhere to look forward to every year and be like, okay, so who's in competition this year? Who's the creme de la creme? So we can learn from them. We want to learn from the good examples so that we're even improving more and more as we go. So yeah, like I do see how the Western conferences are and awards are a bit ahead of us, but it's not that far. It's doable. It can happen in a very short amount of time, and especially with a team like APVA, the APVA team that put this together. You guys are going to nail it very soon. So it's such an honor, really.
Thank you. Thank you. And as we close this session, last question is, where do you see the voiceover industry in Africa in, say, 5 years' time?
And where do I see it in 5 years?
Yeah, with developments like this and the quality that you know experienced during the judging process.
That's not a closer kind of question. That's a question that we could answer 3 hours or something.
Oh yeah,
but
we just make it as brief as possible.
I'll be as concise as I can. I see a lot of people, a lot of superstars. Like if I like King E, like Jennifer Canary, like QT Code, like a lot of other people, like this guy. He's so talented. He's amazing on camera. He's very nice. Like I see these rock stars in the African continent, and they're all pushing forward so that we have, you know, something that we're proud of. So in 5 years' time, I think with everybody sharing the love and the knowledge the way it's happening right now, I do see us having an independent market where we could start educating our clients, even not just the talents, as to how we can build for the future. That is assuming AI doesn't take over and it's like, you know, Terminator scenario. Hopefully that's not going to happen, but yeah, I think the future is bright for voiceover.
Great. Thank you so much. Yeah, I believe so as well. Thank you so much, Nadeem. It's been a great time having you as a guest right here at the APVA Awards 2023 and much more as a judge for the Voiceover categories at the APVA Awards 2023. It's a pleasure playing host to you, and I hope that next
Thank
time
you.
when we call on to you, you'll answer us.
Yeah, always.
Great. All right, guys. So that's it for this session. And let's get back to the rest of the APVA Awards 2023. I am T Code, and I'll see you soon.